guys, welcome back to our channel. Today we are recreating the Leche Flan-Filled donuts from Kora, which is a bakery in Queens, New York. Kora was featured in Food Insider late last year, and I was in awe of how genius the concept is, and so I decided to give it a go. For those that don't know, leche flan is the Filipino take on flan, which is a custard dessert topped with caramel. So here, I have already started caramelizing 1 cup of sugar on a low to medium heat, making sure that I'm stirring continuously not to burn the sugar. Just before the sugar turns golden brown, I remove the saucepan from the heat because it will continue to caramelize while it's hot. It all comes down to preference though. The darker it is, the more bitter it becomes, so make sure to remove from the heat before your desired color. After removing your saucepan from the heat, you're going to have to move as quickly but also as very carefully as you could when transferring the caramel onto your molds. Of course, when the temperature goes down, our liquefied caramel becomes rock hard. For my donuts, I prepared a total of 4 small llaneras, taking into account the thickness of my leche flan and how it's going to sit on top of my donuts. Now for the custard base, I used 10 egg yolks, 1.5 cup of whole milk, and 1 can of condensed milk. There are many ways to separate the egg yolks from the egg whites, but the absolute easiest way to do this is by hand. Just make sure to handle the egg gently, not like this. Okay, let's do that again. Most people separate egg yolks using the cracked eggshells, transferring the yolk from one eggshell to the other until the egg whites fall off. That works great, but the risk of poking the yolk with the eggshell and therefore breaking it is quite high if you're not careful. So I prefer using my hands gently, letting the egg whites slip between my fingers. After separating the egg yolks from the egg whites, make sure to beat the yolk before adding the condensed milk for a smoother and silkier mixture, unlike what I just did. But hey, we learn best from our mistakes, but in this channel, I hope that you guys learn from my mistakes so you don't have to do the mistakes yourselves. Anyways, I just did what I could to beat the eggs while incorporating the yolks and the condensed milk. After that, I added 1.5 cups of whole milk. You can actually use evaporated milk in this recipe, but I didn't have it, so I just used whole milk as a substitute. And then the last thing to add is a teaspoon of vanilla extract. Mix everything together and pour the mixture through a strainer or a cheesecloth to remove any unmixed bits. Now, leche flan is traditionally steamed, but I prefer the water bath method in the oven because it's an easier cleanup. So I laid out my llaneras in a pan and poured my leche flan mixture into each of them. And then make sure to cover each of the llanera with foil before pouring hot water into the pan at about halfway through its height. Place in the oven at 350 degrees Fahrenheit for about 30 minutes. 30 minutes later, let the leche flan cool down at room temperature before putting it inside the fridge. While waiting for the leche flan to cool down and chill, I'm going to get started with the donuts. You can absolutely use your hands in mixing this, but if you have a stand mixer, it's a lot easier. So in a bowl, add 500 grams of bread flour, 10 grams of salt, 10 grams of yeast, and 75 grams of sugar, and then mix everything in before adding the wet ingredients. And then add 4 eggs and 125 grams of warm whole milk. Then turn on the stand mixer at medium-low speed for about 8 minutes or until it has been incorporated evenly. If you are mixing by hand or using a spatula, just make sure that everything has been mixed in together. And then knead in 125 grams of softened butter for about 10 to 15 minutes. Once the dough is done, generously flour your work surface for a bit of kneading just to make sure the stand mixer didn't miss anything. Then shape it into a ball and place it on a grease bowl, covered with a towel or plastic wrap, and let it rest for 1.5 to 2 hours or until it has more than doubled in size. After the first proof, degas your dough and divide it into 12 equal pieces. Then shape each piece into a ball and using a rolling pin, flatten the dough balls into a circular shape of about 4 inches in diameter and about 4 inches in height. And then lay them out into a generously floured baking sheet. Cover the dough with plastic wrap and set it aside for its final proofing for another 1.5 hours to 2 hours or until doubled in size. After 2 hours, it is now ready for frying. Use vegetable oil or any flavorless oil and get it up to 250 degrees Fahrenheit. Be careful not to degas your beautiful donuts, so handle it with care and make sure to fry these in batches to allow each of the donuts some space to expand a bit more. Fry one side for about 2 minutes before flipping and then fry the other side for about a minute and basically repeat for the rest of the donuts. Let your donuts cool down on a cooling rack before assembling. Here I have already pre-cut my leche flan into circular shapes and pre-made my leche flan cream. The leche flan cream is pretty simple. It's made with a cup of whipped cream and a llanera of leche flan whipped together. I have also prepared my donuts and cut a ring on the center where I can fill it with leche flan cream and of course topped with leche flan. The very last step is to sprinkle these beauties with icing sugar to make it look nice and pretty. And that's it, guys. I love how light and airy the donuts are, and it absolutely complements the richness and the creaminess of the leche flan. Though I will say that it takes a lot of time to make, I think it's totally worth it. Thanks for watching, guys. If you like this video, hit like and let us know in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe and see you next time.